Oh, have we gone back to the beginning?
Oh, I hope it's not done that. Oh, no, we're at the end of the last... Yes, we do need to go to the...
We need to go
to the next
to
section.
the next batch.
We're making headway.
I'm smashing it.
Hello.
We're on an hour 3. We're doing well.
Is this right? Does this look right?
This is good stuff, this now. You'll like this. Right, so... this is down to a guy called Frank Higgins, who wrote this wicked book back in either the late 1800s, I think it was the early 20th century. And he exposed a lot of these things, but on a lot of the geometry stuff. I'll try and get you a copy, actually. I'll get you a PDF. It's they're really easy to read if you know your stuff already. It's just absolutely fascinating. There's nothing hard technical in there, but you just got to be able to link a lot of things together like this. So VW, the VW sign. Am I shouting on my 2 point?
No, it's fine. The VW sign.
The VW sign. We've seen this on these 3 pillars at Rivington. One has a wheel on it, and at 12 o'clock on the wheel, there's what looked like a W. But when I look closer, it was a V and a W. I've highlighted it in the top corner. Now, this VW symbol, I kept seeing in other places, and it is symbolic in a Christian sense. It's pre-Christian, but the Christians took it over and called it the Virgin Magisterium or something like that. I forget right now because I've had a glass of wine.
Yeah.
But it's this majestic Virgin, you know, like the Virgin Mary, VM, VW, and they do a lot of this flipping around stuff. The symbol 3 across from the left on the top, this MA symbol, is a Christian rejigging of that same symbol.
Wow.
Now, if you take the 2 pillars off the side, that's the symbol of Saturn. It is literally, from all the old magic textbooks, that is the symbol of Saturn.
So like an M and then a W above it.
Well, it's just that if there were 2 pillars at either side.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, you can just ignore all this stuff and just look on the symbol to your right that says Azazel on it, and that is the symbol of Saturn.
Oh, right. Oh gosh, yeah, right. So you've got it looks like an M, and then above that a horizontal line, and then a W above that, basically.
And I think that's from Agrippa's...
Cornelius
Agrippa's...
Got that down
magic,
there as well.
Yeah.
Not got around to it yet, but...
Not got around to summoning any demons up.
I don't want to mess with that stuff, to be honest.
It's nonsense. It's a nonsense. It's all psychology, from what I can tell. But I haven't messed too much myself. Why would I want to? I'm not interested in that. Yeah, what's the point?
I'll have a go.
Oh, yeah, do it.
If you want to join the Euclidean mysteries,
absolutely.
Some demon.
That's ritual 1. Skip to the end.
So beneath that is the M symbol for Virgo, and you know all these symbols are kind of coalescing together, and we can see there's a PX there as well, the Cairo symbol, and then we can see a Saturnian cube. We've talked about the Kabbah and other Saturnian things, and that's just the PX on these directions of space and time and all these other things. So that's all bound together in this symbol for the Great Mother, because another version of Saturn is the Great Mother. Saturn's kind of like being a limit to things. Imagine your own skin. That's the limit to you, isn't it? You go any further and it's something else. So that's your personal space and time. It's your personal limiting factors, and that's Saturn. That's the archetype of Saturn. So the Great Mother is the same thing. She is the limiting factor that allows energy to be poured into it. She's the matrix. Think of a computer that's not been turned on yet. It doesn't do anything, but there's a matrix there that when the energy comes in, the masculine energy comes in, it can be captured. And suddenly you have potential difference in there, because there's some parts activated and some parts not activated. And just like we said before with weather systems, you get high pressure, low pressure, and this in physics is called work. This allows work to be done, and which is the basis of all action, all movement. And action and movement, the basis of that is time. These quantum fluctuations into the vacuum, out of the vacuum, you know. That's the basis of time. This
time is just
factor.
The measurement of that.
And are you aware of the Planck constant? Do you know what the symbol for the Planck constant is?
No.
See that symbol for Saturn there? You know so let's go top right corner. You got your cube, you got your PX, and then there's like a T with a little generally, but that's a symbol for Saturn and Planck's constant, because they knew this stuff too. Right. So the limiting factor of the vacuum, literally the 0 point vacuum is
Saturn.
Saturn. They knew, because these guys know they're still using the same stuff. When I say names like Da Vinci, Newton, probably Einstein, there's so many of the luminaries of our society, Plato, Pythagoras, right the way back, Imhotep. These guys were doing this stuff.
I'm reading a book at the minute called The Invisible College by Freemasonic author Robert Lomas.
I've heard of it.
And he's talking about the founding of the Royal Society. Christopher Wren and Robert Moray and Boyle.
Christopher Wren wanted to rebuild London after the fire to all this geometry.
Absolutely, yeah. And they did that with Washington.
You know so much. You're like Joe Rogan, you. Only tall.
Smooth brain.
No, like pretends to know nothing, but actually knows loads. I'm just a dummy.
No, but all these famous luminaries. Luminaries is a great word.
I like that. I pulled it out of the ether, that one.
Yeah, these luminaries through time. They had an understanding. A lot of them were interested in alchemy, esoteric subjects. Isaac Newton's a famous one.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of his time looking into alchemy, squaring the circle.
And not having sex.
Well.
Yes, he was absolutely, he was a bit like, not, you call it a germaphobe now, but he was that way. And, I mean, he was famously, possibly a bit of a...
Musician.
A musician, very good at music and very happy. He had a bit of a lover boy there, but apparently they never did anything, possibly because of Christian values at the time. But you get that feeling if he's into all this stuff, he's not doing it either. Nikola Tesla, another one that never did, an actual germaphobe, doing all the same stuff. And he famously got to the point where often he couldn't tell the difference between what he was thinking and actual reality. He'd have engines in front of his vision and be taking them apart and putting them back together, and then like forget that nobody else could see these things.
That's ace.
Wow. Because he'd use these same techniques.
He's working on a different plane of fucking reality.
I think that's where you can get to if you are driven enough to get to that stage. I know I'll never get. I'd like to think I could get that far, but you drive yourself up the wall. Like life's for living too.
Yeah.
So we got this WM all the time. This symbol. What's it getting at? So before we actually arrive at a conclusion, let's go to that middle layer, the Egyptian thing in brown on the left. We can see that M symbol.
Yeah.
So it goes quite back quite far. Then on the next image in, there's like an M with a line underneath it, and that actually comes from the the G string of the Maui guys. What are they called? The Moai, sorry, on Easter Island.
Right.
And that's the string that pulls his little panties there up his bum.
Wow.
So there's that M there. So it's at the bottom of his spine. Just as...
Yes, can see it in the next slide here, in the next picture.
On this lady here, it looks like, with the M, the Egyptian one, it kind of looks like a spine with an M on the top, if you get me, next to the lady's spine. And then that's drawing up his spine. And then I just remind you that the guys on Easter Island actually had hats on that were big red mushrooms turned upside down. Okay, that's speculative, but, it wouldn't surprise me. On the next pillar, on the next image over, we've actually got a coloured in image from the pillars, which has got this another one that's got this same M kind of thing. It's got an A in there as well, but it's definitely the same shape, and we're getting at the same thing. Now, in the next image over, we got a measurement here. This is so cool. So it's difficult to see, but over I believe it's the VW. Yeah, that one there. So over where the VW is, I placed this special triangle called the Jehovah Triangle. Jehovah Trapezium, excuse me.
Right.
Which is made up of essentially 2 Pythagorean triangles and then 2 other triangles, which we'll get into. Now, the name of God in Hebrew is JHVH, which we've said in previous episodes. Hebrew didn't have numbers. as
Now
different
vowels.
numerals. They had so they used the actual letters as placeholders for numbers. So J, H, VH is equal to 10, 5, 6, 5. That trapezium has a base of 10, two sides of 5. If we look in this bottom row in the center image, you can see a few numbers around there. 10 on the bottom, 5 at the sides, and 6 at the top. Okay?
Fucking hell.
Okay. Now
It's the God trapezium.
God trapezium. And then so that's in these M's. That's what they're getting at. And it's very much they're getting at the hips as well. We've had this pregnant lady, the hips of the Moai, you know, there's other things going on other places, but you can see in the top VW, you can imagine that's a set of hips, you know, the skeletal hips and and the sacrum. So this is the if you know anything about Kundalini and all this other stuff, it's the base of the hips and the sacrum. If you look to Eliphas Levi's drawing of the Wheel of Fortune, which is all over these pillars, in the top right-hand corner there, you can see two serpents coming out of a hip shape going up a stick.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, so we're getting at the hips, but we're also getting at something else here. Now we're going back to procession. If you look in the right-hand corner, you'll see that actually the slopes of the side of that trapezium are at not far off 23.5 degrees.
So the angle of...
So that's what they're getting at. So the center of the... If you can see, the trapezium's been extended into a triangle. The center of it says the pole star. And then you got the Earth and you got all these angles. And I'll tell you as well, if you take the sides... It's difficult to explain this. So if you imagine the two equilateral triangles at the base of that trapezium.
Yes.
And then there's a third one pointing down, isn't there?
Yep.
So if you just went to the top of those two equilateral triangles, drew a straight line down, halving them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The remaining triangles inside would all be 3, 4, 5 triangles, and it's all 3, 4, 5s with these two extra little triangles on the outside. Now, here's what's bloody cool about this, because I've said, okay, 1300s, and we got evidence of it on these M shapes all across the world. That's amazing as well. All across the world. Next slide, please.
Right. So we've got Sumerian, top left.
Mm-hmm. These are all like at the gates of like places in Iran, basically. Babylon,
Babylon, Sumeria.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what the bottom.
The bottom right is actually from the guy that originally spotted this stuff, Frank Higgins.
All right, so
Masonic author.
Babylonian symbol of Jehovah.
I can't read it. I'm myopic.
The lion, the eagle, the bull, and the man.
And
so
the
that's
man.
the Sphinx. That's the Sphinx.
Exactly.
Man.
And we started here with the lion, the bull, the eagle, and the man. These degrees, I think what I'm getting at with all this stuff is that, I mean, you guys have been here for every episode so far, and how many times have these same things been provably repeated with geometric precision? And, you know, it can sound like I'm going, oh, mushrooms and stuff. How many times have you seen mushrooms in skirts and things on these same characters? How many times have we seen this angle in things? It's just over and over and over again. I think just the quantities is proof enough without the actual voices of the past telling us these occulted esoteric secrets that they're never going to write down.
I mean, these animals, if you take away the drawings you've overlaid that show the angles, if you just look at the image as itself, it looks almost unnatural.
Yeah.
Which indicates to me that that's why these animals were drawn in this position.
In this manner.
It's not meant to look natural. It's meant to tell you that these angles are significant.
That these beasts are significant, and everything they were doing was as above, so below. They were imitating the stars.
And then the top left guy is the Sphinx. You know, we've got all the components of the lion, the eagle, the bull, and the man incorporated in that image, I think, haven't we?
Yeah, totally have.
Wow.
It's over and over again. There's another mythical creature there in the center that's similar. Perhaps the same thing.
Top or center
Sorry,
bottom?
center bottom, my fault.
What does that look like?
Yeah, it's like a weird giraffe serpent.
Anteater thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Mongrel.
I don't know.
So no explanation. Does no one know what it's supposed to represent?
They've got names. I can't remember what they're all called. Right. That's a griffin in the top right-hand corner.
Right. So griffin, very similar to the Sphinx, really.
Yeah.
You know, lion, eagle, It's just I thought a griffin was a lion and an eagle, but maybe
It's got horns as well, isn't it? I think
Right.
that one has horns, yeah.
that one has horns. So the bull's there. It's probably got a man's ego.
Yeah. A man's ego between its legs. But that's amazing, isn't it? That something that you never knew about is on these pillars and relates to the past. You know, there's this mystery thing. There's a clear, not an unbroken line necessarily, but there's a clear line of this knowledge going all the way back, and it's everywhere if you just know how to look for it.
Super. Yeah, I like that.
Mm.
I like these angles.
Yeah.
I like the angle of the dangle.
Cool. Next slide, please.